So for my senior project, I built a dresser with my grandpa Doyle. And I decided I wanted to do this because my dad is a carpenter and he's been a carpenter for 24 years. And it's like, I've just always grown up around carpentry stuff and I always find it kind of interesting. So we built my mom a dresser with pretty expensive sliders. This one doesn't really work that well, but they're like fancy ones where the drawer goes in slow so it doesn't slam. You pull it out and you can't slam it. Then it like kind of locks in so that it doesn't pull out super easy. And then this is the cabinet. We haven't put the shelves in yet. They're sitting right there, but we have these clips here. But since I have to haul it over to my mom's house, we're not going to do that so they don't like fall and break stuff. And this kind of slams if you're not careful because it's a magnet. And then the bottom is like some kind of whitish tan color. I don't remember what it was called, but we painted that. Well, my grandpa painted that because I didn't feel comfortable doing it. And then this top is just three boards that we found at a scrapyard. It's just kind of supposed to give it like a natural type look. And then it has a coffee brown stain. It's like, it's really smooth and it just came out really nice. And I was pretty proud of this. And this whole build took around probably like 25 hours-ish. Because the whole frame, like this whole part down here and all down there, we kept having problems with that. And then these walls right here, we had to cut those multiple times because they wouldn't fit. It still didn't fit perfectly, but we just kept having all kinds of problems and it was like a really big pain. And then surprisingly, the part that probably took the longest was building just the faces of these drawers, because it's 4 different pieces of wood per drawer, or 5 including this one, and then the handle. I had to do 6 of those, and I did all of that pretty much myself while my grandpa did some cutting for other stuff. And then the drawer slides, to buy a lot of those. And then yeah, so the frame took probably the longest out of like just the regular part of it. And then for me, the longest part was the drawer fronts. And then in the back, it's really plain. It's just this back cardboard with handles cut into it, since you won't see it when it's against the wall, so it doesn't look weird or anything. But yeah, that's my actual project. And then I gotta set my phone up. Then I did my research paper on carpentry, because that's what my dad does and it relates to this. And in that paper, I was just talking about the history of carpentry, how long it's been a thing where people decided to make it like an actual job, and what it originated from, like what started it. And I also talked a little bit about what my dad does in his, because there's multiple different types of carpenters. There's finished carpenters, rough carpenters. Rough carpenters do like all the beginning work, like building the frames and stuff, and then the finished carpenters put like the windows in, the doors in, the cabinets, the counters and all that. And then there's even carpenters that specialize in cabinet making, where they just build the cabinets by hand. Some of them even do it by hand and make really fancy designs. And I just basically talked about, since how my dad's been doing it for 24 years, he's learned how to do all that stuff, so that's why he gets paid like pretty high above average, because he can do all of it, and he does do all of it. He builds the frames, puts the windows in, builds cabinets, and builds windows. He does all kinds of stuff, and he does it in places like Jackson, Wyoming, Du Bois, Wyoming. Those two places have some pretty expensive log homes. That's what he mainly specializes in, is log homes. And they're really cool, and they're really hard to make because logs are heavy, and he just builds them out of full logs. So that's, and then I also did research on what the average pay is, the requirements to become a carpenter, and I personally think it's pretty easy to become one. Like, you just have to take the basic math classes and graduate high school, and you pretty much guarantee yourself a job as a carpenter. But the job alone is not easy. It's really hard. I'm starting that with my dad. As soon as I'm done with this trimester, I'm starting with him on March 6th, I believe. Or March 8th, because that's Monday, I think. And then, the average pay is like $16 to $20 an hour, somewhere around there. And they work really long hours during the week. Like, my dad works like 50 hours a week or something like that, but it's also because during winter, the weather conditions and stuff like that are way too dangerous for them to work in. So they get laid off, and there's also a shortage in materials because people don't want to build and prepare materials and stuff like that in really cold weather. So that's why they work such long weeks, because the other like average people that work like indoors and stuff all year long actually work longer than carpenters throughout the year, because they only work for about half of it because of winter. And then it's pretty much the summary of what I did my research on and stuff. I went and I had some pretty long conversation with my dad as well about the art of carpentry and all the interesting stuff about it. What's the hardest thing for him, the easiest part he loves, parts he hates, and all that stuff. And he really loves it. He's been doing it for a long time because he just loves doing it. He would build log homes for free. If he didn't have a way to make money off of it, he would do it for free in a heartbeat, just because it's something he enjoys doing anyways. But you do spend a lot of time away from home. Like when he goes and works in Jackson and stuff like that, it's a whole different state. So he takes his camper and just actually lives there for an entire week and comes home for the weekend most of summer or most of winter. And then for summer, he's mainly in Idaho, so he comes home every night. But yeah, that's what I did my research paper on. That's what I did my project on, because I thought it was really interesting. And my mom has a pretty cheap dresser. It's not even made out of wood, and it's kind of ugly. And she really liked this, and we went to a store and found one that looks pretty similar, and she liked it. I didn't think it would be too hard to do. This is her own design that she decided she wanted, the 3 drawers on each side with a cabinet in the middle. And I was really excited to build it. I was kind of jealous that it had to be for someone else, because I wanted to do it for myself, because I really love how this turned out.